Hollywood was forever changed by the renowned actor Ernest Borgnine, whose career lasted more than 60 years. Borgnine's path to fame was anything from typical. He found his love for acting while serving in the Navy during World War II, and his breakthrough performance as the tough-as-nails Sergeant Fatso Judson in From Here to Eternity in 1953 catapulted him to stardom. Renowned for his flexibility, Borgnine's performances in Marty in 1955, McHale's Navy in 1962, and The Dirty Dozen in 1967 demonstrated his ability to move fluidly from malevolent to likable characters. Borgnine's distinctive charm, sardonic humor, and unmistakable presence made him a Hollywood legend, adored by both colleagues and fans. Birth and early life. Carmina and Antonio Borgnine, Italian immigrants, welcomed Ernest into the world on January 24, 1917 in Hamden, Connecticut. His humble origins influenced his early years since he was raised in a working-class household. His mother, a housewife, and father, a blacksmith, taught him the importance of persistence and hard work. Ernest struggled in school and was often seen as mediocre because of his scholastic difficulties. However, his passion for narrative and acting started to show throughout his adolescence. Following high school, Borgnine enlisted in the U.S. Navy and served 10 years in 1935. He gained invaluable life experience during his military service, but acting became his vocation when he was released. The Untold Stories. For many years, the world has been enthralled by the charm and charisma of the Rat Pack. However, there are still untold tales beneath the gloss and splendor. One of Hollywood's most cherished legends, Ernest Borgnine, has chosen to speak up about the mysterious Dean Martin. What did Martin's slick exterior conceal? Was there anything that only Borgnine was aware of? Get ready to learn the little-known facts of a connection that helped to define a unique period in Hollywood history. Everything you know about the King of Cool will alter due to this discovery. Ernest Borgnine and Dean Martin. Let's start by discussing the connection between Dean Martin and Ernest Borgnine. Borgnine is a talented performer. When he encounters Dean Martin while shooting the epic film From Here to Eternity, he likely thinks, this is going to be a musical because Frank Sinatra's in it. This experience remains with him for the rest of his life. I'm walking off the set and Dean Martin comes on stage and says to the audience, now there's an actor, Borgnine adds, and it dawns on him immediately that Dean meant this remark, not just a casual remark. Kid from Ohio. Let's go back in time. Who was this Dean Martin man in the first place? This Ohio boy, Dino Paul Crecchetti, had a difficult beginning. He struggled to learn English at school after speaking Italian at home. Do you think he even dropped out? But sometimes the most fascinating tales are told by individuals who defy expectations. He tried everything, even bootlegging and boxing. In the boxing arena, he even went by Kid Crochet. At last, he discovers his musical rhythm. He begins to sing, gains attention, and leaves. Then comes World War II. Fortunately, he's released early after being selected and returns to show business immediately. And Jerry Lewis enters the picture. Jerry Lewis, the wild card comic, meets Dean Martin, this suave operator. Sparks ignite when they first meet at a nightclub. They say the rest is history when they establish themselves as this legendary combo. Dynamic duo. Moving on, this dynamic duo, Jerry, the maestro of physical humor, and Dean, the suave singer, joined forces for a musical comedy act. They were a great fit, like fire and ice. Their first appearance at Atlantic City's 500 Club it wasn't quite a standing ovation, however. The crowd seemed less amused and more perplexed. If they didn't play their game, Skinny D'Amato, the club's owner, threatened to expel them. These men, however, were harsh. They returned to the drawing board, and boy, they returned in style. It was absolute magic in their next performance. Dean would get into a funny chase across the stage when Jerry cut him off in the middle of his song. Then there was the scene when Jerry interrupted Dean's act, dumping dishes and causing chaos while disguised as an awkward waiter. The crowd erupted. They were the buzz of the town as their popularity skyrocketed, and they even appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show. Challenges faced. They engaged talented writers to assist them in developing their act because they realized they had to step it up. Things were improving. They made $775,000, a fortune in those days when they landed a lucrative radio agreement with Paramount. But there were obstacles to the achievement. Jerry and Dean began to argue. Dean believed that Jerry was taking center stage and that the humor overshadowed the music. He wanted to pursue other options, but their Paramount contract constrained them. And that's when everything started to go south. The narrative was so pitiful. Imagine being on stage with your closest buddy as the audience is going crazy, and then suddenly your face is removed from a magazine cover. Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, his comedy sidekick, experienced that. These two were a powerful combination, but their relationship suffered greatly when Dean felt wholly ignored by Jerry. Everything ended after they performed this wild, extravagant three-ring circus show in 1954. They even received a magazine spread, but who was oddly absent from the picture? Dean. Dean was so angry that he decided to stop, saying, "No more Paramount, Jerry," and he quickly left when his contract ended. Subverting expectation. It was now widely believed that Dean would crash and burn. They sneered, "He's nothing without Jerry," but God bless him, Dean disproved them all. He went solo and concentrated on his singing career. And my, what a talented singer he was. The songs "That's Amore," "Everybody Loves Somebody," and "Memories Are Made of This" were massive hits. However, Dean wanted to perform and become a movie star and wasn't satisfied with being a crooner. His early acting career was a bit of a mixed bag, but he did try. The Young Lions followed in 1958. With the success of this military film, Dean found himself back in the public eye. He was mingling with the likes of Ricky Nelson, John Wayne, and other Hollywood celebrities. He even received a Golden Globe nomination. Dean was on fire after that. In addition to becoming a performer, he produced several films. He turned into a tangible symbol and a legend. Not to be overlooked is the Rat Pack, which includes Dean, Frank Sinatra, and Sammy Davis Jr. The ultimate party animals were these men. Throughout each performance, they charmed, joked, and sang. It was unlike anything Vegas had ever seen. The ultimate chill TV show. The Dean Martin Show soon followed. Consider it the most laid-back television program. Dean, who looked effortlessly dapper in a tux, would joke with visitors, tell a few inappropriate jokes, some may argue too many, and generally enjoy himself. Even though NBC's censors often criticized him, it was a huge smash. Dean was a loving family guy off-screen. He adored his wife and children, despite his reputation as a playboy. Furthermore, his acquaintances claimed that while he presented himself on TV as something of a boozer, he wasn't a heavy drinker. Jerry and Dean eventually put their differences aside years later. For them, it was a poignant time. After that, everything was going well until March 1987, when Dean had a terrible accident. The crooner, Dean Martin, lost his son, Dean Paul, in an aircraft accident. Flying with the Air National Guard and everything, hitting Dean was a true tragedy. He went into a deep despair, plummeted, and sought solace in the bottle. His longtime buddy, Frank Sinatra, attempted to lift his spirits by bringing him on tour, but it was like using gasoline to put out a fire. That cigarette never left Dean's lips, and he was riveted to his bottle. Retreat from the spotlight. Speaking about smokes, he finally caught up after years of chain smoking. He was diagnosed with lung cancer in 1993. Even if surgery were possible, Dean's heart wouldn't have it. He faded away, spent time with his family, and returned from the limelight. He tragically died at the age of 78 on Christmas Day, 1995. Everyone on the planet lamented the demise of this legend. In respect, even the lights on the Las Vegas Strip went out. He gave up on his path from a school dropout to a world-renowned figure. After discussing Dean Martin's identity, let's examine his relationship with Borgnine. In his own words, Borgnine offered us a peek inside the relationship and revealed a side of Dean that went well beyond his dapper exterior and Rat Pack swagger. As it happens, Dino was more than just a lovely face. He was a true friend and devoted man. Ernie's humble start. Let's now discuss Ernie. Born Hermes Ephron Borgnine, this man came from a very low beginning. The son of Italian immigrants, he was raised in a Connecticut working-class home. Like any red-blooded American, he enlisted in the Navy after high school. He was back in uniform and serving his nation when World War II broke out. Ernie felt disoriented and uncertain of his life's purpose after the war. It didn't take Ernest Borgnine long to understand that he wasn't suited for a manufacturing job. He was fortunate that his mother was more aware of his abilities. Most children would have rolled their eyes when their mom said to them, "You're always making a fool of yourself in front of people. Why not get paid for it?" But Ernest had a revelation. It seemed like a light bulb went off in his mind as he sat at the kitchen table. He received an Oscar from Grace Kelly 10 years later. State of the Union. He attended Hartford's Randall School of Drama before joining Virginia's Barter Theater. During the Great Depression, this location was a treasure trove, allowing people to exchange items like apples and eggs for tickets. In 1947, he played his debut part with the State of the Union. Although he didn't play a significant role, the crowd adored him. Playing the gentleman caller and demonstrating his ability to add drama, he maintained the pace with Tennessee Williams' The Glass Menagerie. He was prepared for the Big Apple by 1949. Of all things, he played a nurse in Harvey, his Broadway debut. Next came television. Captain Video and his Video Rangers was his debut engagement. Doesn't it sound campy? However, it let the floods in. He appeared everywhere, including the Fireside Theater, Laramie, and Goodyear Television Playhouse. The Whistle at Eaton Falls. Soon after, Hollywood approached him, and in 1951 he landed his first part in The Whistle at Eaton Falls. Playing the savage Sergeant Fatso Judson in From Here to Eternity, however, was his big break. The movie received many positive reviews, won Best Picture, and made Ernest famous. Borgnine didn't hesitate to play the villain now. He portrayed antagonists in films such as Vera Cruz and Johnny Gora. But he was born in 1955. The world fell in love with him when he played a bashful yet endearing butcher in Marty. The movie was a huge hit in Cannes, and Borgnine won the Oscar, defeating industry titans like James Dean and Frank Sinatra. He even won a BAFTA and a Golden Globe. He looks so much better than he did in Captain Video. McHale's Navy. Then came fame on television. He joined McHale's Navy, a World War II comic about a motley band of miscreants. In 1962, Ernest portrayed the tough but endearing Captain Quentin McHale, who was able to discipline his outcast crew. In its debut season, the program was in the top 30 and became an immediate success. His admirers always loved him, as he was nominated for an Emmy. However, after 4 seasons, the humor became a little tired, and the program terminated in 1966. However, Borgnine's career continued to progress. He was omnipresent for the next 30 years. He landed big screen parts in Escape from New York, The Poseidon Adventure, and The Dirty Dozen. He even portrayed Dutch in the morally charged western, The Wild Bunch. Borgnine further said, "Every picture should have a moral. Back then, the bad guys always got what was coming to them. Now it seems like they're running the show." Ernie the Preacher TV, too. He also dominated Touched by an Angel, Magnum P.I., The Love Boat, and Little House on the Prairie. It was impossible to turn the channels without seeing his face. Following that, Borgnine became the go-to person in Hollywood for, well, everything. He was excellent at comedies, dramas, westerns, and more. He continued to work into his older years, appearing in the last episodes of ER as the legendary person he was. Airwolf. Throughout his illustrious career, Ernest Borgnine never seemed to slow down. He returned to Universal Studios in 1983 to co-star in the popular television series Airwolf with Jan Michael Vincent. After watching him wrestle in a 1982 Magnum PI episode, producer Donald P. Belisario personally contacted him. Borgnine accepted right once and played the endearing helicopter pilot Dominic Santini. Despite the program's popularity, Borgnine was exhausted from working behind the scenes. Anyone may have been worn out by the demanding schedule and arguments with his younger co-star. As you would expect, Borgnine was given a well-earned vacation when CBS canceled the program in 1986. Fast forward to 1989 when he traveled to Namibia to shoot Laser Mission with Brandon Lee. The film was released in 1990 but didn't win any Oscars. In 1995, he returned to television as the endearing doorman Manny Cordoba in The Single Guy. First on set, last off, and most likely making jokes between takes. Co-star Jonathan Silverman remarked that Borgnine had more energy than the whole ensemble. Merlin's Shop of Mystical Wonders. In the oddball fantasy movie Merlin's Shop of Mystical Wonders, released in 1996, Borgnine displayed his spirit of adventure. He told a tale about a cursed monkey toy that banged cymbals and was taken from Merlin. Indeed, it is. After being delightfully parodied on Mystery Science Theater 3000, the film gradually developed a cult following despite its original lackluster reception. To meet fans and explore the nation, Borgnine boarded a bus and traveled around the United States the same year. Ernest Borgnine on the Bus, a 1997 documentary, focused on his voyage. Oh, and as part of the national salute to hospitalized veterans, he managed to visit VA facilities in between all this. Back in uniform. Borgnine returned to uniform in 1997. He passed the name and the torch to Tom Arnold, who portrayed his son when he played Rear Admiral Quentin McHale in McHale's Navy. A year later, he made a similarly ludicrous and funny appearance as a wealthy entrepreneur in the comedy Baseball. His most famous late-career part was that of Mermaid Man in SpongeBob SquarePants, where he paired opposite Tim Conway, a friend from McHale's Navy days, as Barnacle Boy. Borgnine took full use of his status as a retired superhero. Both children and, to be honest, adults adored him. The cutest thing is that Nickelodeon honored him by showing all of his Mermaid Man episodes after his death. Borgnine continued after that. He appeared in the Hallmark film A Grandpa for Christmas in 2007, which told the touching tale of a distant grandpa becoming closer to his granddaughter. At 90, he became the oldest to get a Golden Globe nod for the role. His autobiography, Ernie, was written in the meantime, but it was less meaningful and more, let's sit down and share some amazing stories. The Emmy nomination. In 2009, Borgnine made a heartbreaking appearance as a husband witnessing his wife's death in the last season of Emergency Room. He received his first Emmy nomination in over 30 years for his poignant performance. He demonstrated that age was nothing more than a number when he was featured in Another Harvest Moon the same year at 92. He had a spectacular cinematic career finale. He completed his last picture, The Man Who Shook the Hand of Vicente Fernandez, in 2010, had an entertaining appearance on Saturday Night Live with Morgan Freeman, and starred in the action flick Red. Borgnine remained active and endearing in 2011, never losing his sense of humor or affection for his followers. Ernest Borgnine. If anybody ever deserved the moniker Unstoppable, it was him. The Two Legends. Martin and Borgnine are two idols in their own right, two legends with distinct journeys. The good news is that actor Ernest Borgnine told a tale that encapsulated Dean's charisma. When Borgnine finished a sequence on set, he heard Martin nod to him and remark, "Now there's an actor." Imagine Dean Martin, the king of cool, praising you without seeming to care." Borgnine couldn't believe it. Even though he already had a lot of respect for Dean, receiving such a compliment made his week, or even his year. Subsequently, Borgnine praised Dean as the most wonderful man and exclaimed how easily they clicked. Their immediate connection developed into a lifelong relationship. The problem with Dean, however, is that he wasn't the kind to take center stage. He encouraged people despite his enormous celebrity position. Therefore, even though Hollywood is often a battleground of egos and rivalry, Dean demonstrated how to accomplish it with a wink, a drink, and a talent for making others feel amazing. We should toast to it. We get more than Hollywood tidbits from Ernest Borgnine's recollections of Dean Martin. A genuine heart. They demonstrate how a sincere heart and a few encouraging words can transform a person's life. The honest Dean Martin, who is far more than the slick-talking, martini-drinking movie star we saw on film, was in front of Borgnine. Although Martin exuded a sense of coolness, underneath that polished exterior was a man full of heart, humility, and, funnily enough, as grounded as your neighbor who still mows the lawn. Borgnine likes to say that Dean was genuine, not just another star lost in glamour. He can make you feel necessary. His generosity wasn't a facade, it was his nature. Not to mention that the dude was giving. Are you in need of support, humor, or guidance? Dean was your man. The glue that held the friendship. Not to mention the hilarity. Martin had a sense of humor that could penetrate even the most trying situations. Borgnine often spoke about how their relationship was kept intact by Dean's humor. He is the ideal guy to make even the worst day seem a little less awful. If you're experiencing the highs and lows of life, beneath that perpetual grin, however, was a guy who carried his troubles, which he seldom showed others. Because they were so close, only a select handful, like Borgnine, could experience that side of him. In addition to his brilliance, Dean's superpower was his ability to remain human in the face of everything around him screaming celebrity. His compassion made him so beloved by his fans and respected by his colleagues. Borgnine saw everything, even the glitz, the modesty, and the times when Martin would astonish you by being a simple, kind man. That Borgnine and Martin friendship, it wasn't one of those "we worked together so we're friends" Hollywood packs. This was the genuine deal. Martin epitomized casual coolness, while Borgnine was the dedicated man who took everything seriously. Despite their extreme differences, they managed to make it work. Their relationship was based on trust, humor, and an uncommon genuineness, even outside of Hollywood, and it was not just meant to endure. Beneath all the fame. Ultimately, Borgnine's tales remind us that, despite his notoriety, Martin was a kind man who was a terrific friend and someone we all wished we could have had a drink with. Martin and Borgnine had an uncommon bond, particularly in Hollywood. They remained together throughout the highs and lows and all points in between. Borgnine was there for Martin as he faced the unfathomable grief of losing his son, Dean Paul Jr., in an aircraft crash. Not with meaningless words, but with the type of support that counts. He didn't make an effort to correct it or remove any cliches. He just came there, most likely with a bottle of something heavy and a solid shoulder, as buddies sometimes do that. Am I even good at this? It wasn't a one-way street either. Martin was Borgnine's pillar of support throughout his professional downturns and those "am I even good at this" times. We all have them. He would call, visit, and remind Borgnine of his skill and the importance of his presence to everyone who knew him. Well, maybe not pom-poms and cartwheels. Whether on set or playing golf, these two loved life's simple pleasures together. Their banter could have been its comedy show, and you can bet that they made life on set much more entertaining for everyone around them. He would shake you by the shoulders and say, "Snap out of it." However, their friendship was not just about serious matters. Their special bond. Their friendship was as rare as finding a clean car in LA after it rains in a world of photo ops and superficial connections, because they saw past the Hollywood glitz and focused on the other person. No ego, No fake smiles, just two guys who genuinely cared about each other. Borgnine and Martin's relationship is a reminder that even if you're surrounded by fame and fortune, the people who stand by you through thick and thin genuinely matter. Because when life throws your worst at you, or even just a bad round of golf, you need someone who's got your back, your jokes, and maybe even the tab at dinner. Distinct personalities. In the glamorous world of Hollywood, Ernest Borgnine and Dean Martin's relationship was a unique and sincere connection. Despite having distinct personalities, Martin's easy appeal and Borgnine's industrious, grounded manner, they had a bond based on respect, humor, and unshakable support. They maintained their friendship through life's highs and lows, demonstrating that genuine bonds can endure despite celebrity demands. Borgnine's poignant account of Martin show that he was a kind, devoted friend and a stylish superstar. Their companionship is a reminder of the strength of genuine friendship, a bond that endures beyond fame and moves everyone who hears their tale. If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon